First impressions matter. And we all know that. I'm not telling you something you don't know. First impressions matter. The first time you meet somebody, you see somebody, first impressions matter. So what is the difference between Baltimore, the Ravens? We all love them. Everybody loves the Ravens. Everybody's in on the Ravens, me included. What's the difference between them and the Tennessee Titans, who we all kind of roll our eyes and dismiss? They both have a good head coach. They both live and die with the running game. The pass rush for both is meh. So it must be the quarterback. That is the big difference. It's Lamar is amazing and Tannehill's kind of a stiff. Okay, so first impressions matter. Our first impression of Ryan Tannehill is Miami, so 500, 8-8. Our first impression of Lamar is, oh my God, he's faster than Michael Vick. Oh my God. Let's go to their last 17 games, because Ryan Tannehill's only been a starter for 17 games in Tennessee with this staff. Oh my. It's the same quarterback. Tannehill actually has a little better TD to interception ratio, more passing yards, higher completion percentage, better pass rate. Oh, by the way, in that stretch, Lamar can run, though. Well, that's funny, because in that stretch, Lamar has 7 rushing touchdowns, Tannehill 6. And by the way, they played in a playoff game in Baltimore when they actually had crowds in the NFL, and Ryan Tannehill won and outplayed him. Now, I'm not in any way saying Ryan Tannehill is Lamar Jackson, but first impressions kind of matter, right? And our impression of Tennessee for years has been 9-7, 9-7, 9-7, and then you combine that with Ryan Tannehill first impression, and it's like, well, he's kind of an 8-8 guy. No. With this team and this coach and Derrick Henry and this support system and that offensive coordinator is really good. No, Ryan Tannehill, he's a top 12 quarterback in the league, as is Lamar Jackson. Ryan Tannehill is not some pocket stiff who can't run. He had 42 rushing yards last night on 4 rushes and a touchdown. And Lamar Jackson, similarly, is not just some guy that runs around and can't pass. But if you look at the numbers last night against Sean McDermott, one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, 130 passer rating, 21-28, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he was mobile. Tennessee has been so 9-7 and so boring for so long, the Marcus Mariota years, we've just come to expect they're a little better than average. And Ryan Tannehill in Miami is kind of average. No, we need to reboot this, because we all love Baltimore, me included, and we all dismiss Tennessee, and we all love Lamar, and we all dismiss Ryan Tannehill. I'm talking about me. Maybe we need to reboot this. Maybe they're the same. Running games, quarterbacks that can move and throw, very good coordinators. I mean, Baltimore's offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, is a legendary coordinator who took Colin Kaepernick to Lamar. He's got this system down pat. Very hard to defend. Who's the best young offensive coordinator in football? A lot of people think it's the guy with the Titans. So, sometimes you just have to get away from what you believed. First impressions are very, very powerful. And I watched Tennessee last night, and I'm like, what's the difference between them and the Ravens? I don't know if there is. I don't know if Tannehill with this staff and this coach and Derrick Henry and this environment and this offensive coordinator, I don't see a massive gap. Now, I think Lamar's a little more explosive, but I saw him playing a playoff game, and I watched Tannehill last night. In 17 games, he's 13-4, and I've seen him go up against good quarterbacks. All I know is we have to rethink what we think about Tennessee, because Buffalo's good. And Tennessee last night did not have 8 starters and 2 assistant coaches, and they housed them. Buffalo's not going to lose that badly all year. They're not going to lose to the Patriots like that. They're not going to lose next Monday night to the Chiefs like that. Buffalo will not lose like that the rest of the year. Tennessee's for real. We dismiss them. We love Baltimore. I'd argue it's the same team. One's just cooler. One we just talk about more. All right, so I used to live right near Boston. And I used to live in Tampa. So I have a sense of kind of the sensibility of Boston and Connecticut. Very principled, prep schools, very academic, very rigid, very political. And I lived in Tampa for a couple years. Tampa's loose and Ybor City and fun and cocktails early. Pate had the most strip clubs per capita in America when I was there. Whatevs. It also has lightning. But my concern when Tom Brady went from Boston to Tampa, Joy is my witness, was not about changing wide receivers. It was not about changing addresses. It was not about changing coordinators. It was about the sensibility. It was changing cultures. Tom's a winner. Tampa's losers. And we're already now 4 days removed from Tom yelling at teammates. What game was that? That was Thursday. So we're 6 days removed from Tom yelling at teammates. And it is still a story. They're still asking him about it. They're still talking about it. This was my concern. It's easy to change uniforms. It's easy to change receivers. It's easy to change offenses. Try turning losers into winners. New England is about academics and detailed and button up. This year, the New England Patriots, and by the way, they have a brand new quarterback. They should have a bunch of offensive penalties. You know how many they have? 3. Tampa's got Tom Brady. Jameis Winston's no longer there. They will clean it up. You know how many offensive penalties they have? 8 times that. 25. The standards are different. And Tom's trying to change the standards. Bruce Arians was asked yesterday again about Brady yelling. And it's amazing how much flack Brady's taken over this. Folks, Michael Jordan went to the Wizards. He was easily their best player. Do you remember how much pushback Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, got when he went to the Wizards? He's mean. Michael doesn't understand young players. He played with all sorts of young players in Chicago. Michael was a winner. The Wizards were losers, and he could never overcome it. When LeBron first got to the Lakers, they were a mess. And it was all these young kids, and LeBron came in and had standards, this. LeBron is out. He doesn't They got rid of all the young players. By the way, when Michael Jordan first got to the Chicago Bulls, you remember the funny line during the 10-part documentary? They call him the traveling cocaine circus. It was a bunch of drug guys and a bunch of guys that wanted points. And Michael Jordan walked in and was like, no. I come from North Carolina. I got aspirational dreams here. Michael's a winner. His business is a winner. His basketball is a winner. He was a winner in college. He was a winner in high school. He was a winner in the pros. Michael's a winner. But Michael couldn't change all those Bull players. He couldn't. They just wanted to score points. He couldn't change them. He had to get rid of them. And he couldn't change the Wizards. And LeBron, he couldn't change those early Laker players. He had to get them shipped off. This has always been my number one concern with Brady. He'll figure out the wide receiver. He and Mike Evans already get along great. He'll figure out Leonard Fournette. He'll figure out the rookie right tackle. He'll figure out Todd Bowles in the defense. He'll figure out Bruce Arians. They have 25 penalties. New England, they have a new quarterback too. Cam Newton had about 4 practices, 3 offensive penalties. Changing cultures is hard. Being content is the enemy of great. And Tampa's always been sort of pretty good draft. 9-7, 8-8. A 9-penalty game. 9 penalty games in New England, they just don't happen. If they do, they don't happen the next week. So I think it's really interesting that we are now almost a week removed from a 10-second Tom Brady outburst. And we're still talking about it. He had those all the time in New England. He had 2 of those last year in New England. We didn't talk about it. Because the standards in New England, Boston, that region are higher for football and sports. The Celtics win, the Bruins can win, the Red Sox have won, the Patriots have won. The culture of Boston is you shout, you scream, you get it right, you yell, you win. And it's understood, it's part of the fabric of success. In Tampa, Tom barks at an offensive lineman. 6 days later, what did you make of Tom yelling at people? That's how you get crap done in sports. Games are live. You can't sit down and put your arm around. Let's have a long talk with Dad. You got to be on the field in 9 seconds. Bark. Let's go. Get it done. Get it corrected. I want that. This is what happens in sports. Michael yelled. The late Kobe yelled. Charles Barkley yelled. Steve Kerr has yelled. Kevin Durant's yelled. Brady's yelled. Peyton Manning's yelled. And Patrick Mahomes hasn't yelled. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.